Genesis 49:19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Call halal, Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than never. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, and to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And I'm just going to, say how much of a hypocrite the people of the United States are, especially the Edomites, especially them. And these 2/3 Negroes who want to deny the Northern Kingdom. All right. It's just so much information, even on the internet, about books that were written. This one I just looked up, and this is going back to, this is the mid 1800s, around the time they started actually using cameras. All right. And you can see how dark complected these people are too. And you can see some of these restored. See, you can't see the husband and wife. I just realized you can't see them through the camera, but there they are. All right. There's the husband. They're very, very dark complected. All right. And but it's just so much evidence, on the internet, and so many different books and writings. As a matter of fact, let me just click back to show you. All right. So this is called Native Americans and the Jews, the Lost Tribes episode. So this is history from the from Jewish this is from Jewish information, Jewish publications. All right. And now all of a sudden, when the Hebrew Israelites, so they want to just keep saying the black Hebrew Israelites, bring this up, everyone's acting like they're so surprised, like, oh, they've never heard of this. But yet you've got centuries of information and books that were written. I got about 4 or 5 books behind me. Let me grab some. Now I'm thinking about it. 1, 2. Where's that one, Christopher? Bear with me a moment. This is all being done through the Spirit. I know I've got more. There we go. And that's more than this, but I just grabbed these 3. This one being Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in the Spanish-Portuguese discoveries. This was translated from by Mayor K. Serling. Very important book. And I believe it's page 15. Right here says, oh, damn it. This is on page 15, Columbus and Jow. It says, he was also very fond of reading the Bible in the 4th book of Ezra. All right. That's talking about 2nd Ezra's 13th chapter. All right. Which is the 4th book of Ezra, which was probably written by a Jew who lived outside of Palestine. According to his own assertion, the incentive that impelled him to plan his discoveries was not the love of science, but the interpretation of the prophecies of Isaiah. In Portugal, Columbus earnestly conceived the idea of making maritime discoveries by the way of the West, because the Bible gave you the map and the way to the Americas. All right. All you have to do is read in the book of Kings, First Kings, about Hiram of Tarshish with his navy, the servants of King Solomon that took that 1.5 year trip that took them 3 years, okay, and how they would come back, all right, and then you would connect that to Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, that precept, and it just pretty makes it clear. Which I'll read that scripture eventually, but here's the next book of Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. This book goes for a pretty penny right about now. All right. The origin of American racism. And this guy, Ronald Sanders, set out to disprove that the natives were Israelites because he wanted to disprove those notions. And upon his research, he discovered that they were. All right. And this book is full of information proving that point. All right. And then here's the third one. I got 2 copies of it. Let me grab this one. And this is by Timothy R. Jenkins. And it's called The 10 Tribes of Israel, or the History of the North American Indians, showing that they are the descendants of these 10 tribes. And so the information is out there, and it's always been out there, and it's overwhelming. So, why all of a sudden they want to deny it, and these natives were very dark complected like Negroes once upon a time. All right. And they got lightened up through slavery, and, that women were being stolen and raped, and, whole tribes were massacred, and, and there's also evidence too that they were the slave trade began with them, by the way. So that whole 400 year, from 1619 to 2019, whenever it was, 2119 to 20, yeah, that was off because the slave trade started almost 100 years before with the dark fleshed natives of the islands and of the Americas. All right, it started with them first. Seville, Spain. That book's behind me too. The one written by Lawrence Katz became the reverse slave capital of the world. All right, but let's get that Second Ezra, the Second Ezra 13. And it's great too that Gad is. That's all we were waiting on. There's a lot of Reubenites. They're acknowledging, the Reubenites are also referred to as Native Americans. But now you got a lot of Gadites, the tribe of Gad, the native tribes are finally acknowledging, or, they're having a voice in this Israelite thing. So and then you still hear these people, these agents, and these, anytime you hear someone say Black Hebrew Israelite, that's automatically paid opposition more likely than not, or just an ignorant person. Because we're just the Hebrew Israelites. You don't have to put Black in front of it. As a matter of fact, Black is actually, people don't understand it or realize it, but when someone calls you Black, it's really a derogatory term. Because when Black is placed before anything, it automatically gives it a negative connotation. It's bad, it's ugly, it's dirty, it's filthy, it's evil, But this is 2 Ezra 13, and I'm going to start at verse 40, read to about 45, just to make the point. And it says, "And those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, who Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land." All right, so over the water. So you have to think there's 2 things that's going on here. The southern kingdom was in the Babylonian captivity. The northern kingdom went into the Assyrian captivity. Hence the reason why they were separated and then began to look so differently today, because the northern kingdom mixed with a whole lot of different heathens, and then the southern kingdom was primarily under the Hamitic captivities, and people that were really dark from those regions. All right, especially the last captivity, or after the fall of Jerusalem, and then when they fled into Africa. All right, so mixing and mingling with with those Hamites. Well, there you go. Dark, different features. The really woolly hair and all that, and then the other tribes were mixing and mingling with all these other people who were also of darker flesh, but would have different complexions. I mean, different textures of hair and things of that nature. So, long story short, you can't really call an Israelite by their outward appearance. You really have to go by the Spirit. We truly got scattered among all people, among all races, and you need to for those of you who can't seem to grasp and understand that, you're just gonna get left behind. All right, but it also says that they came into another land. See, look, Africa, Asia, because there's really no such thing as the Middle East. The Middle East is Asia. That's just, they started calling that portion the Middle East, all right, to fit their white superiority. That term was made up in the 1800s, all right, by the East India, the British East India Company, trading company, because India, the so-called Middle East, was halfway between, or midway between Britain and India on land. That's why it was called that, all right? So that's how I got that name, okay? But that's actually Asia. So Africa, Asia, and Europe all touch each other. You could actually walk to all those. You could start off in Northern Africa, walk into Asia, and then walk right up into Europe. Okay, you could do that by land. America was that other land, all right, where never mankind had dwelt. Okay, they had traveled over here, but no one had actually dwelt here, and the Israelites knew the way because of King Solomon's navy. All right, okay, so it says, verse 41, but they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes. They never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places to the river for the Most High. Then showed them signs. Salaki then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. You see that? And the same region is called Arzareth. All right. I read Arzareth in a video just a couple days ago. I'll grab it again. Let me go to the evidence folder. All right. Let me pop up the evidence folder. And I believe it's the first one. All right. Make it big and read it on the screen. Okay. And this is right out of the Jewish Encyclopedia. Arzareth, the land beyond the great river, far away, what would be the ocean, from habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration. According to 4th Ezra, see, 1345, Columbus identified America with this land. All right. C.K. Serling's Christopher Columbus, translated by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. I just kind of read a portion of that. It also has a whole, once you get to, in this book, Mayor K. Serling's book, when you get to page 99, it has the whole chapter of Louis de Torres, the Hebrew interpreter. See all these notes I've written. And then it has Indians and Israelites. And that's why that's clipped, because all these pages right there that are paper clipped together is giving you information, all right? And then about the Hebrews, the natives being Hebrews, and then it gives you the references of the books that they came from, 1892, all right? All these different books and the page numbers and everything. You see that? Screenshot it. Take the picture, screenshot it, get the receipts. Hold on, let me take that clip off and let's go through them, all right? It's talking about the Moreno Montesinos. That story is also in Ronald Sanders' book. So these books are cross-referencing each other. All right, 1659. All right, Thurgood, the Jews in America. All right, look at these receipts. 1650. Screenshot it. Take the picture. They'll remove this video. All right, look. This is page 97. Okay, the origin of the American Indians and the Lost 10 Tribes, New York, Chicago, Cincinnati, Leo, Wise Company, Antiquities of Mexico, London, 1830 to 1848, 1881. All right, you see this? I mean, there's just so much evidence. Hold on, I'm just showing you that, here's another one. You go to the bottom. See, they have all this information up top. All right. And then you go to the bottom, and those are the resources that it comes from. You see and most of these are from Jewish references. But all of a sudden, this strange new doctrine of the Hebrew Israelites, it ain't no. This is the truth. And now it's finally entered into the world. How did Jack Nicholson say in the movie? You can't handle the truth. They can't handle it, man. Because the ones who understand this, they understand that the awakening means the end of the current ruling class people, which is the Edomites. This is the end of their kingdom. All right. So let's go to 2nd Arzareth, the 6th chapter, and it reads 2nd Ezra 6:6, and it reads, Then I considered these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other, and by me also shall they be ended, and by none other. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We're at the end of the world, the end of the age of the so-called white man, who is Esau, Edom. All right, and it's in the beginning of ours. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 6 and 27, and this is what's happening. It says, For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. So all their lies are being, accounted, because they just keep screaming hate speech and anti-Semitic, and no, this is just information. This is just truth, man. All right, where's no derogatory terms of hate has been said or spewed. I'm showing you references in history from their own sources. All right. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which have been so long without fruit shall be declared. And that's just what's happening. And the truth doesn't benefit everyone. It doesn't. All right. Concerning both the so-called Negro and the so-called native to the Americas. Okay. Matter of fact, that's great. I got 2 videos side by side that I want to play. And this was a one with Glenn Beck back in the day. This was probably about 6-7 years ago when he got fired off Fox, right shortly after he got let go or whatever happened. Shortly after this video, after this show aired, all right, he was on his own. But here it is.
Let me show you one more connection. In 1860, David Wyrick, he's a guy who surveyed the Newark earthworks. He was digging into a mound near those earthworks, and he found a wooden coffin made of oak. They opened up the coffin and found a skeleton of a man holding a little box. It was about 8.10 inches in size. The box had been cemented shut here. This, by the way, is sitting in Ohio. Well, he opened up the box and he found a little man inside, a little black stone. They took it to scholars and they looked at it. The man seems to be carrying something, and there's writing here. At first, they couldn't recognize. The writing is, they thought in 1860, some sort of Hebrew. Well, finally,
they knew it was Hebrew.
About 20 years later, they found some rabbis living in the area, and the rabbis looked at that. And they could read it. They said it was an old kind of block
Phoenician
block Hebrew, and it was a rendition of the 10 Commandments.
Paleo Hebrew.
This is another piece. Block Hebrew. They said they'd never seen anything like it. Mainstream archaeologists at the time called this a hoax.
And that's a lie, because that same Paleo-Hebrew was found all over the Americas, from Canada to Brazil and in the islands. They just recently found 5,000-year-old relics in Puerto Rico last year.
But then in 1900, or just about after 1900, in Israel, they found the same block-style Hebrew writing. Mainstream archaeologists still dismiss the findings. They found it in Israel and they found it in Ohio.
Because it didn't fit their narrative. And when you control information, when you control media, well, you can do that.
But there was another stone that they found that they couldn't argue. This is the Bat Creek stone. It was found during the course of an official Smithsonian evacuation. The Smithsonian didn't understand the meaning of the writing on the stone.
They knew.
They thought it was Cherokee, since it came from Cherokee country. They didn't realize that it's actually Hebrew. They had published this originally upside down. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. Many years later.
And let me tell you something. In 1783, the president of Smithsonian passed this rule that any relics that predated Christopher Columbus could not be on display anymore. Why? Because then they couldn't control the narrative. They couldn't have their white power, their white superiority pushed. All right. So that was another reason why this stuff got put on the shelf.
A scholar took it out of the box, looked at it, and went, oh my gosh, it's upside down. It's Phoenician, ancient Hebrew.
And Phoenician was the land, what is that about? Phoenician was the language of Canaan, which is in Asia, which is what they call the Middle East today. All right. So the natives came and he said, what is that all about? Why were we never taught this history? Okay. Why? Because these people are just, quite frankly, they're liars. Okay. So I think that pretty much hits the point. Just wanted to get an edifying lesson in today. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Wakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal Kwam Yasarala Shalom.